Hi, this is Andrew Peepoy. I'm here at Comic Conway, and you may know me from Fables and Simpsons, and these days I'm working on Dinosaurs and Doctor Who. Welcome to Southern Fried Geekery.
1, 2, 3.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Southern Fried Geekery podcast. As usual, I'm Caleb Alexander McKenzie.
I'm Craig Lance.
I'm Sean.
And I'm Jerry.
And we are back for our episode 52. Woo! That was the best air horn I could do, guys.
I appreciate it.
Craig is looking at me with hate in his heart.
No, I didn't understand what you were doing.
I mean, like,
I got it.
I thought you were pew-pewing.
Well, it's like the
better?
millennial. I think
Better.
the air horn is the millennial pew pew.
it kind of is.
Kind of, maybe. I don't know. We turned into a resident millennial. Jerry, what do you think?
No.
Okay, Jerry's spoken. He is our millennial judge.
The one time we actually want Jerry to speak and he comes back with a one-word response.
It's like a millennial.
It's like a Fifth Element whenever
Multipass.
yeah.
That's all you have.
No, when Chris
The word of the
yeah.
the word of the day. All right. Yeah, you're being Bruce Willis meat popsicle.
Yeah.
God, I love that movie. All
But
right.
back on to episode 52, a year of this podcasting.
You know, join us next year for Rebirth or
Yeah.
New 52. We haven't decided yet. And that's the show. See you guys next week.
All right, so let's get back on track. So yeah, we have been doing this for a year, and that was awesome. But just real quick, because we've got a lot to pack, because we packed this episode full of stuff to kind of celebrate our 1 year of doing this podcast, but we also
For sure.
want to get our regular stuff in there. If you're new to the show, come join us. We're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all those places. Just search for Southern Fried Geekery Podcast. We're at those. If you go to those places, you will see that we also do this. Well, not we. It's more of just Sean. Sean gets requests from people who listen to the show, and they ask him to draw things based out of pop culture, which he has been doing as part of a New Year's resolution. And so, Sean, what did you draw this week?
This week, again, as usual, you guys have been very great with your random ass choices. It's always fun to draw. And this will be continuing even past the new year. But I just want to say one last thing. This is the last episode of the year, so I won't get to say it. Thank you all for your contributions and helping me get this 365-day resolution drawn. So, without further ado, I was requested to draw Jerry as Jack Frost, me as the Heat Miser, and Craig as the Cold Miser. From one Rod Hedrick, a follow-up to his Caleb as Santa Claus request. Bourbon and cookies, y'all.
Yep.
After that, it was Bill and Ted versus the Grim Reaper in a game of Battleship, as requested by one Mark Alloway. Following that, it was Men in Black, Agent J and Agent K. Jay, I believe that's the Will Smith character. I can't get their letters right.
Yeah. Jay is...
He's
Will
enjoying cotton candy with a killer clown from outer space, while Agent K is smashing one's head in on the, was it the hammer mallet test your strength game?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. As requested by Amy of Art Epidemic 24/7 on Instagram. Following that, it was Bluegrass from the long forgotten Silverhawks cartoon. I don't know if anyone even knows that show anymore.
Apparently somebody does.
Somebody does. I liked it. I remember it, but it's not one that gets brought up enough.
Yeah.
But that was requested by Frankie De Jesus. Following that, it was Guts from the anime and manga Berserk versus a Rathalos from Monster Hunter. That was requested by Mike Del Vecchio. Following that, it was Dr. Kenzo Tenma confronting Johann Lambert from the anime and manga Monster, which I was berated for not knowing, but I did my best for the reference for what he wanted. He said confronting him, and I saw pictures of Tenma with a gun, so I put a gun to his face. That's all I got, apparently. And as the requester, who is also Mike Del Vecchio, said that I'm a terrible person for not seeing that or Evangelion.
I've heard of Evangelion. I don't know that I've...
It's
Actually,
coming
I
to
have some
Netflix.
comics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The original series and original movie adaptations are coming to Netflix.
And I intend to finally watch them so I can finally be partially a good anime fan.
I've seen the series and I still can't even tell you.
I plan to add them to my list of things to watch and never get around to watching.
Yeah,
It's a
I'll
good
do
list.
that. I'll do that.
And finally this week, it was Grumpy Bear from the Care Bears as the 12th Doctor from Doctor Who.
I'm going to guess Rod Hedrick.
Robert Skinner.
Ooh, I was wrong. Somebody that's not Rod. And or Craig watches Doctor Who.
I mean, Doctor Who's huge. There's Rod and I are the only two Doctor Who fans.
Robert Skinner is he gets all the comics.
Does he?
Yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, that was the last request for the week. And as I stated again, We got 2 days left in the year, and that will complete my 365-day New Year's resolution, but the drawings will continue. So please continue to give me random and great ideas.
Sweet. All right, cool. So it is the week after Christmas, but the week before New Year's. So we've all been super busy. We've had our schedules packed. How was Christmas for everybody?
Oh, it was great.
My Christmases are still ongoing. I'll let you know next week.
I'm doing another one this afternoon.
I had a good Christmas.
Nice. And I had a fantastic Christmas too. I should say it was a lot of fun.
We didn't care. That's why no one asked.
I also I fucking hate Christmas, so I don't care. Like, this is not my holiday.
Steph and I just built models all day and then went to go see Spider-Man.
Cool.
Yeah, it was a
good
pretty
day.
ideal, like, chill Christmas.
Yeah. I like low key things. That makes me happy. So speaking of Spider-Man and also Bumblebee and all the rest of that stuff, this is a huge time of the year for movies. We've had several big blockbusters hit. So we're going to kind of do this in lieu of any like comic book news because there really hasn't been any. End of the year, everybody's taking time off and they're just doing other things. So huge season for movies. Lots of big blockbusters are going on. Huge time for nerd movies. We've had three really big ones that have dropped in the past, I think, 2 weeks. And I've seen 2 out of 3. But let's talk about this for a little bit. One of the movies that just came out is GoBot's Butterfly.
Yeah. GoBot's Butterfly was a fantastic film. I've been watching. Fuck you, all right? We finally got a good Transformers movie. You want to shit on the title. Transformers Bumblebee is the fucking Transformers movie I thought Michael Bay was going to bring us 11 years ago. This was...
You were wrong.
Obviously, Caleb. Fantastic Transformers film. It was finally a love letter to the 80s that I've been, as a Transformers fan growing up, it's the one I've been wanting to do or wanting to see since they first announced a live action adaptation. They finally did everything right. If Michael Bay still being involved, it was still he was involved, but it wasn't overly apparent. Like, obviously some designs, and it's still a prequel to his movie series. So there were connections to it. But this was finally someone taking the reins who I think actually loved the series.
Yeah.
Because there was so many little things that were just amazing, like, for the fans. Like, you know what I mean? Like, not only just keeping in the original designs while still updating a little bit to them, clearly. But, like, the opening alone, it opens up, a little bit of spoiler for those who haven't seen the movie, the war on Cybertron, which is, like, just straight out of the old cartoon. The first episode of the original cartoon is the battle on Cybertron. And you got everyone in their original designs. And like Jerry can even attest, and I know you've seen the old cartoon, but that wasn't your childhood like it was mine. But you could identify who was who.
Sean was audibly squeeing like half the movie.
Yeah, I heard they went heavy Gen 1. Yeah.
Oh, it was 100%, which technically the first Bay film was Gen 1. But this time, because it was as far as like the characters, but they actually look like the characters. I mean, they showed the opening shot of the Autobots huddled behind a barricade. I'm sitting there. That's RC. That's Wheeljack. That's Optimus Prime. But even though some of them were identifiable in the Bay movie, the biggest thing was the amazing shot of when they stopped fighting some random Decepticons for a minute and pause to see Soundwave, who looks like fucking Soundwave.
I mean, he's not a robot in the orbit.
Yeah, tentacle rape and satellites. But not just that. You see Shockwave. You can tell it's Shockwave. They're not all just gunmetal gray random monster robots.
Right.
Know what I mean? So it's like, I was losing my ever-loving shit. But Jerry, you were there too. Please jump in.
It was awesome. Like you said, like whenever I saw the original ones that Michael Bay did, after the first one, I was just kind of like, meh. Yeah. I think I saw maybe 3, and I was actually talking to some people the other day, and it's like, you know, you see so many of them and they just all blend together. You can't differentiate them between each other for sure.
Yeah,
and I think he did like 5 altogether or something like that.
4 or 5 roughly.
Yeah.
I've sadly seen most of them because I feel if you're going to hate something as hard as I do, you should know your enemy.
Right.
And yeah.
But,
sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty stoked about this whenever they first showed the trailer. I was like, oh shit, Bumblebee's a fucking Volkswagen Beetle. Like, this is how it should be.
Indeed.
And the only thing, and I understand why they had to do it, is they did tie it into the Bay films, and I wish that they would have just left that open.
Because they did. I mean, they said it from the jump. This was going to be a prequel to the Bay films.
Yeah.
And by setting it in 1987, that's how Bumblebee could clearly easily be a Volkswagen Bug still. I understood the update to the Camaro thing in the modern film because it was taking place in modern day. I never had an issue with them being modern cars or modern looked up. But just the robot designs of the new Bay films were just fucking, they look like Bionicles. Like they were just real skeletally with very little color and design. And this movie showed though that you can have the boxy 80s art style and still look legit as fuck. Like this CG looked amazing, and it was the cheapestly made Transformer movie out of the entire franchise.
Now this was the one with John Cena in it, wasn't it?
John Cena, yeah. Which, to be honest, I mean his role was fine, but you could almost argue, like, 'cause I'm not gonna say I love this movie. Not a perfect film. But I loved it, and certainly, as you said earlier, not saying much, the best of the Transformers movies.
Yes. Well, I mean...
But, yeah, I said not saying much, obviously. Grading on a curve. But Cena's character was fine. He was a little bit of an antagonist, but almost unnecessary. Unless it's going to lead to, like, maybe something else going on. Maybe they'll do another... Like, what I'm hoping for is this, granted it's a prequel, let's just also do a soft reboot of the franchise. I'd be just fine with that.
I hope that this movie did so well that they decide to do that. But
I hope so.
You got to hand it to him whenever he had that one line where he's like, "Come on, they're called Decepticons."
That doesn't raise any red flags.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he was bad. Just with Dropkick and I believe it's Shrapnel, the two triple changers. They were the real main antagonists. It's almost not necessary, but I mean it was fine.
You still have to have that human antagonist too, I guess.
Obviously,
and
to get the military in there.
Do you though? That was kind of my complaint with. I mean, one of my complaints with the Michael Bay. Like, I don't necessarily need humans in my Transformers movie. Like, you need one because of the cartoon. Like, you need that tie-in because it is happening on Earth. But do you really need a heavy human influence in your Transformers story?
With the way Michael Bay made the movies, absolutely not. Because you don't give a shit about a single one of them. And here's the other thing I was going to touch on. I'm glad you brought that up. The human girl, Charlie, you give a shit about this character. She's a daughter going through the loss of her father, and it's well acted and caring, and her taking in Bumblebee, which is her taking care of a car that her and her dad used to work on a car. Like, the human fucking mattered in this. Now, granted, like I said, maybe John Cena as a human antagonist not as important, but you actually cared about the human around the giant robots fighting each other in this film. And that just an attest to the direction and the writing. Like I said, I think the care people did for this movie.
Yeah.
And just like, little quick, I know we got a lot to discuss, so I'm kind of going from there, but it's like, so many little nods. Like, even Jared, like, I mentioned after we got the movie, like, her nerd friend Memo was coming out of his, the neighboring house when he first sees Bumblebee, and he's holding a book, and he throws it away really quick because he sees her, he's got a crush on her. And I was like, so was that and I'm not sure, I had to go IMDb it. He was holding a GoBot book.
Nice.
You called it GoBots. But like, just so many little things. Like, you see a character called Cliff Jumper, who was the red Bumblebee of the old cartoon. And like, so while Bumblebee looks, like I said, close to the Michael Bay stuff, but definitely cleaned up to look identifiable and better, he was straight up human face. He looked like the 80s toy. He looked like the 80s cartoon. And this had like Soundwave. I mentioned it before, I think, when I've got on my hate rants about Transformers, that Michael Bay got Soundwave in the movie. Yes, he changed him from not being a cassette player. You know, what can you do? You got to modernize. He hired the original voice actor, and he didn't auto-tune the stupid fucking voice to make him actually sound like Soundwave. Yeah. But when Soundwave came up over that hill, when Optimus Prime shit himself a little bit because fucking Soundwave showed up, and you heard Soundwave in his auto-tuned glory, like that one little detail Michael Bay couldn't get right, as people paid attention to the fucking source material. Shockwave had his suit, is real soft and menacing fucking voice. They nailed everything of the old 80s. Like I said, the Cybertron moments were definitely, that's the 80s boner, nostalgia boner childhood for me.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I think people wanted out of that. Because, I mean, Transformers is a nostalgia thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Transformers is based, it's a product of the time that it was in. Right. And what Michael Bay tried to do is make it something that it wasn't. And that just didn't work. And I'm glad to hear that this one, they stuck to the source material.
They did.
Let me just say, it was very, very strange seeing a Transformers movie where there's no lens flares, and I could actually tell what's going on in the fights. Right. Yeah, I don't know if I accepted that change, though. You know?
I mean, honestly, that was my biggest problem with the original Transformer movies, was just you couldn't tell what was going on in the fight scenes. I understood the updates and things like that, and I'm not admittedly as big of a Transformer fan as Sean, so the little things, the voices and things like that didn't bother me as much, but not being able to tell what the hell was going on. Most of the movies,
those were just like those are just my fanboy nitpicks. Like the Bay movies were just shit movies, period, even without the nostalgia.
Yeah, there was almost no followable storyline.
But so there were just so many, there were like little things, like just saying, seeing them in their designs as they were, even when they transform on Cybertron, they still are in their space version, like the jets. they're in their little triangular ship version that were like just straight from the old cartoon. And like so many little nods that I probably go back and see it again and find more stuff. But one of the big things that you could tell they're paying attention to, it was just subtle, but it was a thing, was Bumblebee was fighting Dropkick. And they had a sequence between their fight where Dropkick throws him away. Bumblebee transforms into his car, U-turns, and flies right back in a punching motion. That is straight from the opening of Thundercracker throwing Jazz from the opening animation of the cartoon.
Yeah,
It took that entire sequence. That's just like the little things like that. It's a fantastic film. Like I said, perfect? No. You get the whole memory loss thing, the boy losing his dog thing. Like, there are tropes, for sure. But it's also, like I said, that you could also argue that's an 80s trope.
Well, but if they're going to tie it into whatever, sadly they're tying it into the Michael Bay thing, then they had to set it up.
They did. And like I said, they definitely tied it in. But you know what? I got to admit, though, it had a great line because they had to tie it in. And like I said, I am spoilers for y'all. At the end, when Bumblebee has to leave Charlie, he met up with Optimus Prime and had to leave. And he has to go in disguise because they know him as the Yellow Bug because they got into a lot with the military. He scans a bridge and he sees a yellow Camaro. So he scans it, transforms into the Camaro from the Bay films. Like, okay, yeah, he's mine. And Charlie's like, wait a minute, you could have been in a Camaro this whole time? That was a good line. So,
nice. Was his voice working right, or was it?
It was at the beginning. They showed why he lost his voice.
Cool.
I think it was Dirge or Thrust. I can't remember which one he was supposed to be. The first jet he runs into on Earth, where Cena sees what they are and thinks they're bad, ripped out his voice box. Charlie doesn't have the means to repair it. And apparently Optimus didn't until the end of the first Bay film.
Well, because he had, who was the medic? Was it Ratchet?
Ratchet.
Yeah,
he wasn't there yet.
Yeah, the one that was trying to fix it in the first movie.
Has he tried turning himself off and back on again?
He did, and it did not work. But it was cool with the radio thing. Oh, and yeah, sorry, I'm spoiling this whole damn movie because I fucking love the little touches. Because as we know, if you've seen the Bay films, Bumblebee communicated via Retgar from the old cartoon of using the radio and samples from stuff. He's trying to encourage Charlie to go hang with the boy she likes, but she's all nervous about it. So he bumps her with his car door and plays "You Got the Touch." You got the power.
Sean freaked out like he was.
I lost my shit. They threw it. You got
amazing.
the touch.
Yeah, it was amazing.
And of course, Soundwave ejecting Ravage out of his chest to attack Optimus Prime was completely worth the admission into the movie theater that Jerry paid for.
It was a spooky ghost, Sean.
So yeah, very good shit.
Nice. All right. Well, so the next one we're going to talk about I think, have all of us seen this yet? Or?
I don't think Sean has.
No, Sean hasn't. All right. So we
haven't seen it. This is, of the three, I've only seen Bumblebee.
Okay, cool. So Aquaman came out from DC Studios. This was an okay film. I like it. I'm not going to speak about it with the excitement that Sean spoke about Transformers with because I don't think it's that good. I would argue that it's the second best thing that in this new franchise that DC has done. It's kind of a straightforward story that didn't really change anything with a lot of history, but it looked good. It looked amazing, and it had an all-star cast.
Yeah, so this is a movie we differ on just a little bit because I actually think as a superhero movie, it's a better film than Wonder Woman. I think Wonder Woman's a better film, but I think as a superhero movie, this is what I want in a superhero movie.
Yeah.
Where do I put it overall? It's probably on the higher end of the middle of the road Marvel movies.
I agree with that, yeah.
It's a lot of fun. It's a good action movie. The plot's 100% predictable. CGI I thought was better than it was in Justice League, for sure. There were some scenes in the middle that, as most of these movies do, that you could kind of do without, that sort of thing. But overall, I didn't find myself bored at any point during it. The acting was serviceable, which is all I really cared about, that it wasn't bad acting.
I mean, Jason Momoa is not like any kind of like acting savant. Can we just go ahead?
No, he's not. And here's what's interesting about that is I went in this movie fully expecting Jason Momoa to be the weak link in the film, and he wasn't. He was not the weak link in the film. It almost makes me wonder if some of the other actors hammed it up and went full blown cheesecake just to make him look more fluid or to kind of work with his acting abilities or inabilities for what they are.
But some of the actors that were in there are kind of cheesecake actors anyways.
Yeah, well,
William Dafoe, as great of an actor as he is, he's a cheesecake actor.
For sure.
He plays William Dafoe a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he does.
It's a lot the same character, and this was a version of William Dafoe playing William Dafoe. in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're not wrong. So it's a pretty straightforward action adventure, though. And one of the things, it felt to me like the director, before he started going on this journey, he went and watched like Lord of the Rings, but then turned around and watched like the last Baywatch movie.
I felt there was a little bit of Star Wars in it too, with all the weapons and it was almost like underwater Star Wars as far as the CGI fight sequences that happened.
I was a little, and this might be what affected me as far as how I liked the movie. I was a little over the CGI after the first 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Like it felt like I was watching Green Lantern again. I don't need everybody.
That was kind of the feeling that I had too.
I didn't need to see everybody's body CGI'd every 5 seconds. Like half of Willem Dafoe in the film is CGI'd.
Yeah.
In a few scenes, he is full CGI.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but you didn't have that uncanny valley look you get sometimes with the CGI. I felt like they did a pretty
I felt
decent,
like you did.
I never once thought that.
But Momoa's abs were not CGI.
They were not. They were
and something that kind of funny about it, I didn't realize that Orm was Patrick Wilson until I went and saw this movie.
Yeah.
I watched all the trailers and everything and never caught on to that until I saw him. And
I literally had to look it up after the movie.
Yeah. I recognized when I saw his, Patrick Wilson, Night Owl.
Night Owl. Okay. I didn't know.
Yeah. So like, because he's got blonde hair and it's all pulled back and everything.
Oh.
And like, I don't know. It was
and
interesting.
He's wearing a
His
helmet
character
through
was
most
interesting. Yeah.
Is he Ocean Master?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ocean
he is.
Master,
He is Ocean Master, and I will say that they nailed the characters. So, but going back to something Craig said, I was never bored in this film either. Like, I think it was too long, but I was never bored, and for all of its faults, I never quit smiling.
Right.
Through the whole film. Like, it was not a perfect film. It's just a good film.
It's not a perfect film. It's not a film that's going to win awards by any stretch of the imagination, nor should it.
Yeah.
However, when I go see a superhero movie, it had everything I want.
It did.
Action, smiles, laughs. It was, without being over the top with the comedy, there was some comedic spots, and I thought the action was good. They did a good job explaining why Aquaman is as strong as he is and why he can live on land when other Atlanteans can't. It really dealt with kind of the mythology of Atlantis in Aquaman that you don't get very often. Most people think, oh, he can just talk to
dolphins,
to sea life. Right. But we actually learn why he can in this movie, if you didn't know it from the comic books. So the lay fan, or the normies, as some people would call them,
casuals.
It gives all of that information that you need to completely understand this character. I thought, again, I don't think it's better than Infinity Wars.
No.
I don't think it's better than the best of the Marvel movies, but it certainly is 1 or 2 in the DCEU.
For sure.
But to be fair, like Bumblebee, great on a curve.
You are, but
as of the recent DC movies.
It's well above
right.
Justice League, Suicide Squad. Well, I haven't seen Suicide Squad, but
I'm sure it is.
I still haven't seen Justice League.
So Justice League wasn't quite as bad, I felt, as everybody made it out to be.
It was better than Batman v Superman, but still not good.
Yeah. It's what I wanted in a movie. It's more than I really expected or that it had any right to be, and maybe that's why I came out enjoying it so much. I didn't expect it to be as good as it was. I actually felt Black Manta was the weakest part of that movie.
Really?
And I went in thinking Black Manta was going to be what I really dug the most.
I enjoy like his characterization and the stuff that happened to him at the beginning of the movie. I did. But I think from like a design wise and fighting,
the design was flawless.
Fighting, like his personality and everything was kind of weak, and his motivation was somewhat weak.
I agree with you on the character design. What got me is I felt like I was being pulled in too many directions. You have too many villains.
Yeah.
It's too many people pulling you in too many ways.
I agree. I don't feel like Black Manta was needed in this movie.
I don't. I feel like they could have left him out. And honestly, if they would have left him out, that would have shortened the film, and it would have made the film more cohesive, and it would have probably moved it up into a sweet spot. Because one of my biggest complaints for this film was the scene in Sicily. It's Mira, who we haven't really mentioned yet, but Mira and Arthur they're on this quest to find, basically they're looking for the path to find the Great Trident, which is actually a trident, so they got that right. They quit calling the 5-pronged thing a trident.
Yeah, Snyder.
But they're on the search for this magic trident that's going to give him the ability to be the Ocean Master. So their path leads them to Sicily. The Sicily scene did not do it for me at all. Like, to me, that was the weakest scene, and part of it was because of the cinematography. And no offense to Jerry or Power Ranger friends, what I'm going to say, it felt like I was watching a Power Ranger TV show rerun.
Well, I mean, they play off of cheese. So
yeah, they did.
That's the good thing about Power Rangers. It doesn't work for, a big movie like
no,
this.
It doesn't. It works great in episodic television.
Mm-hmm.
But so for instance, the Power Rangers movie didn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
This movie did it, and it just did not work for me.
I feel like you could have had the opening scene with setting up Black Manta's story, because it still gave us our first introduction to Aquaman as a marine superhero, and left that in there. And use that as a setup for the next movie, which ultimately all of the Black Manta stuff
in the after credit scene, like do it in the beginning and then show it as an after credit scene or a pre credit scene, as Jerry likes to call it.
There is a pre and a post credit scene.
I mean, there's the entire movie, the pre credit scene.
There is no there is no post credit scene.
There is a mid credit scene.
They have the ones where they first show the main stars, and then they have a scene.
Those are called credits.
Mid credit scene.
Mid credits.
So
then they have the rolling credits, and that would be post credits.
Yes.
Right?
So it's a mid-credit scene.
It's a mid-credit scene.
I always took mid-credit scene, meaning there's a scene in the middle of the credits.
Yeah.
It's all credits.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about, though, how they showed the names twice for some dumb reason.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying with that part.
Right.
But I still think mid-credit scene just means this is the middle of the rolling credits.
So I go credit scene is before the rolling credits.
Before
and
all
post,
credits.
Yeah, and no. Because that would be the whole movie.
Oh,
that's my
goodness.
point.
Yeah.
We're arguing over
Anyway,
this is for later.
Just to clarify,
Is there a scene at the end of the credits?
No, there is not.
That's what you're mad about. We got
scene.
Exactly.
Jerry is mad because he sent us a message asking if there was a post-credit scene to the movie. We all responded, or Craig and I responded yes, and it was not in the place he wanted it to be.
It was a mid-credit scene, not a post-credit scene.
There was no post-credit scene.
Sorry.
He had to stay like a good film watcher and give credit to all the people who worked their asses off to make the film.
Oh, I mean, look, the WB logo. God damn it.
In fairness, I had 45 things going on when you texted, and I was like, yes, there is a scene in the credits.
Bumblebee didn't either.
Yeah, I know.
Which is unfortunate. Yeah. I feel like Marvel set that example, and when I go to a nerd-esque film, they don't have a mid
Ferris Bueller set that example.
Okay, so speaking of movies with post-credit scenes.
All right, but I mean, before we move on, those of us who have seen it, I encourage people to go watch this movie. Take your family, have a good time at the theater.
I'd give it 4 out of 5 stars.
Okay.
For a superhero movie.
I just said go see the movie. So.
For a superhero movie, grading it in the genre it's in, 4 out of 5 stars.
I just thought it was just okay. I don't know.
I'd say 2. I'd say 2 to 3. I mean, that's just me.
2 is about where
I'm right. They're both wrong.
How many stabs would you give it, Craig?
4 out of 5.
4 out of 5 stabs. Air pressure would have gotten.
Yeah, but superhero movie. Even though they pointed it out later on that this is why we have this submarine because it can withstand the pressure.
Can't ascend too fast.
That fucking submarine couldn't withstand the pressure.
Quick question, then y'all can move on. I know you're excited about the next movie, especially. Big issue I had with Aquaman and Justice League was they didn't direct him to swim. He just flew through the water. Was it any better? There was no propulsion. He just took off like Superman in the water.
He flies underwater.
That fucking irks. I don't know why, but it irks me.
It's kind of described as the way they actually move, because it's not just him. It's all of the Atlanteans kind of.
And I'm not talking for much. I'm just show him kicking off or move his foot for a second to get the propulsion going, but it's literally just Superman look and fly.
Yeah, they kind of do the leap.
If they show a little propulsion, I'm fine with it from there.
They do a takeoff. It's kind of like Superman flying, he ducks down and jumps.
Right. They actually do a zoom in. And on his feet, and his little toes are like...
Yeah. That's all I want. Because, the best I can remember in Justice League, he would literally, just look in the direction and just take off.
They gave him little bitty wings on his ankles, and they flap real fast.
No, that's the better version.
That will never get in theaters because copyright.
Oh, it's coming. I hope
faith. So.
I have faith. All right, so... Good film.
Go see it.
Yeah, go check it out. It's
especially if you have kids. It's a good kids movie
for sure. Yeah, and if you like the DC movies, Like, if you're one of those people who doesn't have a problem with them the way that a lot of other people do, then you're going to love this film, man.
Like I said,
rad.
middle of the road Marvel.
It's an adventure film. Yeah, it's a fun time. So another film, and the kind of the last one we're going to talk about as far as at the movies go, the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse film came out this week or last week?
It was like
maybe 2 weeks ago.
Was it? Yeah.
Remember when Craig and I talked about that?
I do. Yeah, I do remember that.
But we still talk about it again.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we don't have to.
I went and saw it again on Christmas Day. So.
Did you?
Yeah, it's a great movie.
I thoroughly loved it. So comics can do things that film can't, right? Like live action can't, stage plays can't, prose really can't. Comics possess the ability to immerse the reader into almost a fully adjunct experience. And I've never thought that I would see anything like on a screen, anything that moves that would do what I believe comics can do. And I still don't necessarily think that, but I think that the potential is there now. This movie was fantastic. This is hands down one of the best things I've seen all year.
You won't get any argument from me. It's to say it's my favorite superhero movie of all time it's hard. I'd really have to think about that, but it's certainly up there at the top. Yeah. It's that good of a movie.
I don't know. I don't disagree, but I say that it is probably one of my favorite superhero movies.
Yeah. It's really
they just killed it. I have favorite comic book movies, let me say it like that, because they fucking nailed it.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty flawless. I find it's hard to find flaw with this movie in any way.
The only thing I wish there had have been is, if we're going to use multiple Spider-Man, I wish we had have gotten to see Miguel O'Hara from Spider-Man 2099.
You do?
In the film.
Did you stay to the post-credit scenes?
I did not.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was one.
Yeah. Miguel O'Hara is in the post-credit scenes.
Spoiler.
Cool.
They bring him in.
Nice.
Yeah. And oh my God.
It's a great one. Look it up on the internet because it's a fantastic.
Hey, you guys remember whenever Caleb was jocking me about staying and showing support to all the people that were in charge of creating the film and everything, and they didn't fucking do it.
That's a fair. That's a fair assessment.
Bring it. I heard it.
Hey
no,
guys,
seriously.
Is there a post-credit scene of Spider-Man? Fuck yes, there is. Caleb, stay.
Yeah, you should.
Was it a post-credit scene or was it like
post-credit?
What was it? A pre-logo scene?
Fuck off.
Was it a trailer?
It's a post-credit scene.
I'm gonna chuck the fuck out of you.
It's a post-credit scene in it. It's pretty amazing. It introduces Miguel O'Hara. It has introduces cartoons from Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man.
Very cool.
It's amazing.
And it takes on that whole meme where it's Spider-Man pointing at Spider-Man. Have you seen that one?
Like,
why are you pointing at me? Why are you pointing at
pops
me?
in at that exact moment.
Would have
they
been-
start pointing at each other.
It would have been really cool if they had went full meta and got the Spider-Man from the actual MCU films to just walk on, do the whole
That's what this Peter Parker was, the chunky one.
Yeah.
A lot of the scenes that they showed in his backstory were from those movies. I think
that
they
was more
mixed
than
it.
No, that was
supposed to be more than
Tobey
Tobey
Maguire.
Maguire. He's
you're
talking
talking about the
Tom
ones from
Holland.
the
Yeah, I'm
new
talking
one.
Tom
Okay.
Holland from the new one.
Gotcha.
If they had just had actual Tom Holland, green screen it
So-
and be a part of
so
it.
I
Do the
feel-
Roger Rabbit thing.
So I feel that the older Peter Parker that's in that movie was the Tobey Maguire Peter Parker.
Yeah.
I feel like the younger one that died was probably Andrew Garfield, and we haven't seen the new one.
But I mean, also to be fair, that was MCU and this was Sony that did that. I mean, we don't know where
True,
those
yeah.
licenses.
I'm just saying that they played, like you said,
Yeah.
when they did the backstory, they even showed him dancing, and he's like, "Oh, we don't talk about that anymore."
I did this, did that.
Yeah. So at least they gave nods to those characters, in my opinion. So again, I find it really hard to find any flaw at all with this movie.
Yeah, that was fucking
Especially, and it's funny coming from Marvel because Marvel usually doesn't nail it when it comes to the animated films. The only
Not the way it's weird because DC nails the animated films and Marvel is so on them, and then it's opposite when it comes to the live action.
Did you catch the giant robot reference?
I did.
Yeah,
I caught it.
good shit.
All right, so that's our opinion on the movie. If you don't go see this movie, I can't really I need Sean to go see it today, so we can still be friends.
I need
And then we can talk about it again for our first episode of next year.
We can.
Just hush, Jerry.
He's being it's my fault. So to be fair, I earned all of this. I did wrongs in my life, and that's why I'm here.
A movie that came
Right.
out this week.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you're on social media, then you've probably heard of it. It's Bandersnatch. It just came out on Netflix, I think last Thursday. They had actually discussed and brought up what this film was going to be about, and I guess maybe this is their season, because I know Black Mirror second season came out this time last year. They did something really unique with this one. It's a choose your own adventure. So Steph and I linked up via a video call, and we decided that we were going to go through it, and we were going to take turns making the decisions and everything. It was a lot of fun. It was really cool. It got pretty fucking dark. And you're basically, the synopsis of it is there is this guy who wants to be a video game developer, who wants to work for this company and work alongside this really big, person. And it's in the 80s. So, you have all of the Commodore and all of those systems. And oddly enough, the game that he's working on is based off of a book that is a choose your own adventure. The book's author went crazy writing it and killed his wife. And so you're kind of dealing with some interesting things with that in it, but it's him trying to hit this deadline and everything. And I will say that there is kind of a scoring system when you get to the end of it, like most of the choose your own adventure games. And what it does, I don't know how it works if you're watching it on like, a TV with a remote or anything like that. But since we were using the PlayStation, every time before you had a choice to make, your controller would vibrate and it would pop up at the bottom of the screen, and it would already have something highlighted, and it would give you kind of that timer.
Oh.
Yeah. So you'd have to make the decision, and if you didn't by the time the end of the timer, whichever one's highlighted, it would pick that for you, and then the character would make that decision. So it was pretty interesting. There are a lot of scenes. I think they said that they had like over 6 hours worth of footage just for this, because of all of the different scenes and everything that they recorded.
Do you work through every scene? Does it just rearrange them in a way, or are there stuff that gets left out?
Yeah. There are things that you can leave out. If you come to a dead end, it gives you the option of either going back like a decision, or you could just watch the credits. And then even like if you finish it, it'll even give you the options. And if you pause it, like if you're like, no, I didn't like that decision, if you pause it, they have all the different like chapters where you can go back and you can change a decision and carry on from there. So it was really fun. I kind of hope to see more stuff like this. I imagine it was a fuck ton of work to do.
Oh, I bet.
And I'm sure the creator that did it went through the same issues that, well, probably not that the
I was going to say,
hopefully he didn't kill his wife or spouse.
But
murder is not a side effect of hard work most of the time. Most of the time.
But it was really cool, and I really hope we see more stuff like this coming through Netflix. I'm totally down for it.
Very cool.
Yeah. I mean, definitely recommend it.
It's cool because, like you said, as a medium, they're doing something totally interactive, and I think that's rad.
Yeah,
it's something that you definitely have to watch, and you can't do anything else while you're doing it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You got to make choices.
Yeah.
So, you got to pay attention.
So, I mean,
that's why I won't watch it.
All right.
But, I
I
recommend
make
it.
enough decisions in life.
but that is pretty neat that you said it's an 80s setting, which is probably was the pinnacle of the Choose Your Own Adventure books for probably in the 80s.
Yeah.
I want to say, side note, my wife actually has an R.L. Stein Choose Your Own Adventure book from way back in the day.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, very cool.
Bandersnatch on Netflix. Go check it out.
And it's a Black Mirror.
Yep.
Black Mirror story.
I watched Bird Box. Did anybody watch Bird
Yes.
Box?
We might be watching that today.
Okay,
I hear
spoil
good
anything.
things. I hear very good things.
Have you seen all the memes?
Yep, it's fun.
That's all I know about it is all the people blindfolded.
That was actually when Stephanie had to cancel her flight, and she came back. That's what we did that last
You have to
night.
watch it blindfolded. That's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
perfect.
That's a great way to watch films. That's how I watch movies.
It's the opposite of The Quiet Place.
It
I mean,
really
it pretty
is.
much
It is.
is.
It's the exact opposite of The Quiet Place.
that was unintentional.
There's a lot
I
of
don't know what
connect.
it's about. Yeah.
The films aren't connected, but as far as what they're doing, it's very much. It's in the vein of A Quiet Place.
Gotcha.
All right, so we have listener questions and then some questions that I made up just to kind of celebrate our 52nd episode.
Yeah.
All right,
And the end of the year.
And the end of the year. So pre-New Year's. A lot of these have to do with like resolutions, and I think I'll probably name the episode like Resolution or something like that. I don't know. I'll come up with something clever. Or
You
not.
always do.
I did not really.
always.
Have you looked at our titles?
I'm lying. I don't want to listen to our show.
All right, so our first one actually comes from our buddy Nick Helms, who has his own podcast now. It's called the Good Stuff Podcast. So if you get some free time, you want to go check it out and see what he's up to. I think we actually put his like promo on the start of our last episode. either last episode or the one before that. It's been a long week. Not really sure. Anyway, he wants to know which episode was our favorite and what specific part of the episode made it your favorite. It can be something serious, it can be something funny, just in general, what did we like? Mine, I'll kick us off if everybody's cool with that.
Yeah.
All right. My favorite was episode 31, Rise of the Arkansarians. Because Arkansas. See those clever titles? They're coming back around. But also because it was the spotlight episode that we did that I got to choose, and it was a spotlight on Hercules, and we had some really good conversations about the history of the character. One of my favorite characters in Marvel, top 10 definitely. We had a great conversation about Southern representation in comics that I felt went really well. So. And that conversation is happening a lot right now with the depiction of the South in film and genre. And it was interesting. And it was great to hear your thoughts on the whole thing. To see just kind of what we all thought about people like us who live in what we call the South of the United States. How we feel like if those portrayals are accurate. Great episode. Go check it out if you haven't listened to it yet.
I figured it also probably had to do with you having not to edit as much.
I don't know.
Would be your favorite.
Oh, well.
The one I just went to print, didn't have to worry about editing fucks.
I don't know if that was it
my
or not.
favoritist.
I mean, yeah. When we get to that one, it will be.
Right. We're not there yet.
What about you, Jerry? What's your favorite one, buddy?
I couldn't find the number of it. I think it was like before episode 20. We were recording at Craig's house. And I don't think you were here that day.
That's not very specific.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So I want to say it was something around 17 or 18.
Okay.
But it was whatever episode Craig reviewed Iron Man 600, the last Bendis issue.
Oh, yeah.
That was the one
That was
where
a lot
you
of
had
fun.
to leave that day.
And we were just fucking dying the whole episode. And I got to ride off of that high for, a good 10 episodes after that.
That was amazing.
Yeah. That was a lot of fun. I'll find the number of the episode. Sean, what was yours?
Well, I too don't have the number, but it's hard to forget the WrestleMania special.
Right.
Where I got to do not only my favorite opening of the entire show, it was just also we got to interview my buddy John, who's still out there busting his ass trying to be a professional wrestler and getting that WWE. I actually really enjoyed talking to y'all a little bit about y'all aren't the wrestling fans I am, but you've seen enough or to have a comment on it, and it was great. It was always fun to just to discuss things, even if you can see what everyone wants to bring to a subject, even if they're not wholly invested. You know what I mean? I think that's right.
You get a pass because that came out as a special. I don't think it had an episode number.
It was episode 13, and it was oh yeah, brother.
Episode 13.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Nice.
Fucker.
Because it was whenever you guys
Jerry.
interviewed Action Jackson.
Yeah.
So you don't get a pass.
Wait.
But also, kudos to you. It was episode 13.
He's trash talking you when you were giving him a pass.
I was trying to help him out.
I don't know what's happening this morning at all. If it's not obvious. I'm completely out of it. I don't know if we're going to do this after the fact, but I'm going to throw mine in now. Runner up, though, I think it was our second episode, the Toys of Our Childhood with guest stars Jerry and Castro.
Yeah, Castro.
Yeah, that was
fucking love
actually
that
my episode.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It actually
segue to Craig.
No, that's fine. That is my favorite episode because it was a little out of the box from what we do on a normal weekly basis. That or the RPG one, I liked both of those a lot.
Still trying to figure out where we were going with the show and everything.
Oh, yeah, and we were doing a lot of specials getting started, but I really enjoyed the toy special because kind of getting to see, you could see our age differences a little bit based on what our toys were and what our culture it led to bring us to who we are today. Because the toys that we played with shape who we are today.
Absolutely.
So
pretty sure that we had to record that one twice. I don't know. Maybe
there was one that we did have to record twice. I don't know if that was the one.
Because I remember the first one I did one series, and then by the time we recorded again, I changed what series I was talking about.
Yeah, it
might have been.
It was the toy one, I believe, but Mike was on it for sure because he was talking about stealing his G.I. Joes from Kmart. I know that made it on.
My episode was 21, and it was actually the Memorial Day episode with the Iron Man 600. Yeah.
So it wasn't pre-20.
Nope. No, it was not.
See?
I thought
post
it
20.
You also don't get a pass.
It was post 20.
Was it mid-post 20?
Was it mid-20?
It was the post-credit scenes.
It was mid-40?
Yeah.
All right, so the next one.
I feel like our entire episode is post-credit scene.
Our podcast is a post-credit podcast.
Be an amazing name for a movie podcast.
The post-credit podcast? No,
Anyways,
it would be.
Go ahead. Yeah.
That'll be our next
Post-credits podcast.
Yeah.
In 2019, we're going in a different direction.
one. Changing the name and everything. Branding.
Yeah, right.
All right. So what 5 characters are you hoping to see more of, if any, in 2019 that were underused in 2018? Jerry, kick us off, buddy.
Do you want me to go through all 5?
Or
Or just do one at a time? Or
do all 5.
Okay. I don't know if he was necessarily underused, but of course, Beta Ray Bill. No surprise to anybody. He was in the I forgot the name.
Death of Inhumans.
Death of Inhumans, and that was pretty great. Luckily, I'm going to get to see more of him next year because he's in Donny Cates' Guardians of the Galaxy run. The next one, Lobster Johnson from the Hellboy universe.
Hell yeah.
I don't think they've done a story with him in a while, and I would like to see him come back. I would also like to see Guy Gardner come back into comics. I know he was in a couple of things, mostly Green Lanterns, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I haven't found anything that I've been super interested in reading with him in it. He's just been like a minor character. Another character that they tried to do when they were doing their New 52, Catman. Fucking love me some Catman. And I would like for him to come back in his former glory of Secret 6 pre-New 52.
Right.
Lastly, but not least, well, yeah, no, that is last. Sorry. The last one I have on my list is a Blazing Skull, which I've never talked about really, I don't think, on this podcast.
I don't think you brought him up very much.
He was in like an Invaders run, I think, early 2000s. He was like a way older character whenever, Invaders was originally going around and Namorn. He is kind of like Ghost Rider, but no awesome. He's like Ghost Rider, but except no awesome stuff, like no motorcycle or flaming chain. He's got like fire powers. His skull turns into a flaming skull.
He's Ghost Rider without anything that
he's
makes Ghost Rider.
Yeah. But so they, I can't remember who wrote it either, but they basically put him as a POW.
Yeah.
For like years and years and years. He was in there for like 50 or 60 years, and he went fucking nuts. And I think it was U.S. Agent that saved him, and he put him on his team, and he was just like always trying to get people to try to kill him or whatever. And he was wacky and ridiculous. And I guess you kind of got that in Cosmic Ghost Rider, but I'd like to see that character come back.
Yeah, I would too. I forgot he existed.
Yeah.
Like, straight up, I forgot he was a thing.
Yeah.
I don't think you ever brought him up. Okay.
Yeah.
Really cool.
All right, Craig, what's your 5, brother?
Okay, these are in no particular order. My first 2 are actually Native Americans.
Ooh.
Red Wolf, I think I would like to see him brought in the version he was in. What was that event? Where it showed all of his...
Was it like No Surrender? Or?
No Surrender,
Yeah,
I think, where he was... They actually showed his actual power set and how it could be used in a team book. And I would love to see him on a team book like Avengers or something.
I wonder if we'll see him in No Road Home because it's that same group
creative
that did that.
team.
Yeah.
The next one is from the old Super Friends cartoon, Apache Chief, which I don't know if you guys know this, but Nappy from Wonder Woman, the Native American in that, they actually have confirmed that he was a demigod.
Oh.
So it would be really cool to see either him become Apache Chief or an Apache Chief comic or something.
And he has to yell a nupchuck.
Yeah, exactly. But he was actually Blackfoot, I guess, in Wonder Woman. The chief was Blackfoot. That'd be okay. It's close enough. I mean, not if you're Blackfoot or Apache. It's probably not close enough. But Native American representation in comic books is a big thing.
For sure.
Probably this should have been my number 1, but Penance. I want to see Penance return. Oh. I loved that character. For those of you that don't know,
that's the Gen X character, right?
No,
he was the
Speedball after Civil War.
Yeah, after Civil War, he could no longer control his power without having
like a kinetic damage done to him.
So he put himself in a walking Iron Maiden
That's right.
to constantly cause pain so that he could generate his power.
Was there a character in Gen X named Penance, or am I just making that up?
I think there's something close to that name. Maybe it's been Penance, but that's I knew what you were talking about when you said that.
Yeah, kind of a purpley, like spiky thing.
Yeah, something like that.
Huntress Helena has been in DC. She was in Grayson in the New 52. It's not Helena Wayne. It's the I can't remember her last name.
Kyle.
Do what?
Is it?
No, it's Helena with the Italian last name, where she was of the mob descent or whatever. So it was the other Huntress because there was two, they kind of retconned her.
DC does that?
Yeah. And then last but not least at all is, what the fuck happened to Hope Summers? Where is she?
Yeah.
I mean, she hasn't... They brought her back because she was finding all the new mutants that are the ones that we talk about, Glob and all of them. Mm-hmm. And now she's just gone. So I don't know where the hell she is.
I think Rachel took her place.
But Rachel's not even in the comics right now.
I thought she'd been... Is that not who's in the X-Men books?
I don't think she's in Uncanny right now.
Is she not?
She was maybe in one of the...
I remember right. That's from Excalibur, right? Rachel Summers?
Rachel Summers is... she was in one Extermination.
Yeah, she's in Extermination. One of Ahab's.
Yeah, because Ahab...
I'm thinking of the right character.
I think
she's the one that was one of the Hounds from the future. She's Scott's future...
I thought she wore a red suit. Had weird stuff on her face.
That's
short
her.
hair in Excalibur in the 90s.
Yep.
That's all I know.
Same character.
No, she's not in the new Uncanny.
Well, she was in
Extermination.
Yeah. So, but where is Hope Summers? That's the main thing. Yeah, of course, you can say that a lot of X-Men are just missing recently. Right. So, anyways, that was my list.
Good list. Yeah. What about you, Sean?
My list is starting off She-Dragon from Savage Dragon. Have not seen her in like a long damn time. Best of my memory, she's not dead, but that doesn't stop anything in comics. So we'll like to see She-Dragon come back. I always liked that character. After that, I put in Froppy or Suyu from My Hero Academia. While she has been in chapters, I'm waiting for her to get her own Red Riot style, just focus on her kind of story arc. I'd like to get more of her in next year, maybe.
Yeah, they've done like most characters, but they haven't.
A lot of characters. She's been teamed up with people and she's made appearances, but I would like I'm waiting on her little arc where it's just about her.
That's why I was kind of like that episode that they did in the anime that was focused on her.
Indeed.
Yeah.
After that, staying in the anime thing, Beppo from Trafalgar Law's crew. We've seen him in the current chapters, but not enough. I need more Beppo in my life.
Is this a One Piece?
One Piece.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's a big polar bear.
The Kung Fu polar bear. Yeah, I cosplay. Yeah.
In a jumpsuit?
Yeah.
I like that guy.
Yeah, he's awesome. And he's made an appearance, but he hasn't done much yet. So I'm hoping for that next year. So more Beppo. Staying on with One Piece, Buggy.
Oh, yeah.
My clown boy. I need him. I need more Buggy because we got that tiny glimpse of what he's doing now, and it's so many questions I need answered. So I'm hoping for more Buggy next year. And finally, back over to the West. A character I really want to see Tom King dive into is Dula Dent. I don't know if she's been in anything here lately in DC. Nothing I've read, but I don't read much.
Yeah, not since like New 52, right?
No, I haven't seen her in a while. Joker's daughter, right?
Yeah, the idea of just, and I would be cool with him expanding the character to where she has that almost schizophrenia of assuming she's a daughter of different villains. Like, I think Tom King could really take that idea, expand upon it, and make a really interesting character.
Yeah, the last thing I saw her in was Red Hood and the Outlaws.
Yeah, I know.
But she's not in the since New 52. Yeah. It's not Dula Dent. We don't know her identity yet. So
whether it's like I said, Dula Dent or a character with that same concept. Yeah, I would love to see Tom King bring her in, specifically Tom King writer.
I want to see the Joker show up and tell her that he wants his face back.
Right,
right.
Because of Sean's list, I thought about two more. I really want more Bartolomeo.
Yeah.
I want him to come back.
That was on Caleb's list.
Sorry, Caleb. And also, I thought the Creeper.
Spoiler,
they haven't showed Creeper in Rebirth since, like, I don't know, issue 13 or whatever of Deathstroke.
Yeah, there was
I don't think he's been in anything, right?
He wasn't in New 52 much either.
There was one thing that you guys mentioned where he was kind of like one little scene background.
It was a Red Hood comic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, I saw him in something not too long ago.
It was a Red Hood comic. I don't remember what issue or what was going on. But
I just want like some storyline with him that I can start picking up or something, miniseries.
For sure.
Yeah.
So,
All right, so
what's your list?
with mine, I'd like to see the Darkness, Jackie Estacado from Top Cow.
Nice.
He's a Garth Ennis, Mark Silvestri character. Yeah. I loved it. Midnighter, Lucas Trent. Love Midnighter and Apollo. They were doing some really great things.
I had them on my list and pulled them off because I knew they'd be on yours. So.
Last time we really saw him, and I think we're going to see him in the Wildstorm. They've been hinting at him and Apollo coming in. We had a couple of good runs either early last year or year before last that had him in it. It was fun, but I really would like to see him used.
If they bring him into Wildstorm, I'll get back on Wildstorm.
Well, they've been showing like little glimpses of him in the background, so you're going to get to see him.
Let me know when he's a full character.
For sure. Okay. Yeah, I will. I'll keep you updated. I'll give you a link to our podcast.
That'd be awesome. Where can I listen to this show?
Monica Rambeau, Spectrum, Marvel character, kind of a really, really cool character from New Orleans. Last time we saw her, I think, was in A-Force. She has light power. She flies. She's kind of a badass. I love the characterization of her. Really, really fun character. D-Man. Dennis Dumpy. Last time we saw him was in a Lockjaw mini of this past year, which I absolutely loved. He's a hilarious character. He's one of my favorite characters in Marvel that we hardly ever see for no other reason than he's just he's a punching bag for Marvel. Like, they just love to shit on the guy, and it's hilarious. And then last but not least, Namora. I would like to see more of Namor's cousin. I think she was in Agents of Atlas is the last time I remember seeing her, like way back in the day. I don't know if she's dead, which, like you said, Sean, doesn't really stop anything from happening. I don't really know where she's at, but she's a cool character. I think we need more. We're getting a lot of Namor right now. I would love to see his cousin pop back up and around. She's a really fun kind of foil to him sometimes.
Yeah, apparently all the Atlanteans moved to Neptune or something.
Yeah. I don't know what's up with that.
For those of you that didn't read Defenders this week. Anyways.
Yeah.
Sidebar.
No, good sidebar.
I got to say, I didn't know you were a Darkness guy.
Oh, yeah. Darkness and Witchblade. Yeah. I love early Top Cow.
He's an old goth kid.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it makes sense, but I just don't, top of my head, I don't remember you mentioning Darkness before. That's cool.
Caleb drinks his coffee black.
I do. I really do. No, Mark Silvestri is probably Mark Silvestri is probably my favorite creator from the whole 90s Image launch. I love Mark Silvestri. I've got his
I know you're a Cyberforce guy. Yeah, I knew that, but didn't know Darkness.
Cool. Oh yeah, I love Jackie, man. Love Jackie Estacado. Good stuff. All right, so what creator are you interested in watching 2019, seeing how their career progresses? Sean?
Oh, I think without doubt, because we are getting close and closer to the end, is Eiichiro Oda in One Piece. Just because I think next few years are going to be mind-blowing. It's coming... He says there's about a quarter left of One Piece, but that could still mean 10 years of One Piece for all we know. But we are getting into the end, I think, and I think it's only going to get more and more crazy. So.
One Piece in-game.
Right. I was trying not to go there, but you went, and I appreciate it, no doubt. But yeah, I'm looking forward to I'm watching One Piece. I'm excited for One Piece next year.
Jerry, who excited about next year?
Honestly, with how much I've loved this series, I will probably be on the lookout for anything this writer comes out with, and it's Delilah Dawson that's writing Sparrowhawk right now, because I'm just fucking in love with this series, and I really can't wait to see what she does in this next year. I really hope there's something new or more Sparrowhawk coming out, because that series is about to be over. So and it doesn't feel like an ending is really in sight, so I'm hoping that they do more mini-series or something for it.
Hope so.
Yeah.
Mine is a new artist. We got to see a lot of him last year, but it's the first time I've really seen him break onto the scene. It's Sean Isaacs. He did a lot of stuff with Jim Zub and the Champions. Really, really cool guy. Beautiful art. I love what he's doing. I'm curious to see where his career, I feel like he's on the launch pad now, as far as his career and notoriety as an artist goes. I'm excited to see what he does next year. What about you, Craig?
Awesome. I had Jeff Lemire on here, but I'm going to change it to Colin Bunn.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because I finished Cold Spots this week.
Yeah.
Did you finish it?
Oh, yeah, it was just 5 issues.
Wasn't it? Did you read his little note at the end of it?
No.
The letter?
I did. No, I don't think I did.
So him and I forget the artist on that book, they are creating a shared horror universe.
Oh, shit.
And they will be back to the Cold Spots universe as they build up the rest of the universe.
That's awesome.
That, for me, has me excited to see where Colin Bunn's going with this shared horror, because he writes horror about as well as anybody in comics right now.
He does. He put up a tweet day before yesterday that was kind of concerning.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Apparently had a little bit of a rough year. He actually put it on Facebook too.
Yeah.
A little bit of a rough year and thought about actually leaving comics. But,
Oh wow.
Yeah. But I think they got it all handled. They got it sorted out a little bit.
Well, he took... If you pay attention to his career, he stepped down from the big two as the year went on and focused on his creator-owned stuff. And
well, that's where the money's at, so I don't blame him.
But it's also a big chance.
Yeah.
The creator-owned stuff that's where the money is if somebody buys it. You know, so it's a big chance to take to actually kind of take that risk and go, okay, I was writing too much of this. I want to focus on my own stuff. But we're seeing more and more. Jeff Lemire is kind of doing it. Colin Bunn's doing it.
And he's really come out on his own. Because, you know, with all the other stuff, like, hit or miss with Marvel, right?
Right. But his own stuff is great.
All of his horror stuff has been, like, phenomenal. Yeah. And, like, I think he's finally found that niche in that, like, genre that he just wants to write forever, you know?
Yeah.
That's where his heart's at.
Yeah.
And you can tell in his, like, it is a big chance stepping away from Marvel and DC or whatever, but, like, okay, so his Venom run was good. His Magneto run is spectacular, but his
Sinestro was really
Sinestro
good.
was good. I need to finish that. I never did finish it, but
really good.
His heart wasn't in X-Men Blue. I don't know if it was his heart or just editorial or what, but you can kind of tell when somebody just is,
what he writes in the big two that's really good is when he takes a villain and kind of makes him an anti-hero.
Right.
He does really well with that. He's, in my opinion, so on a superhero book.
Yeah.
But when you give him an anti-hero, like, I think he would write somebody like Wolverine pretty well.
Yeah.
If you did like a Wolverine Max book, I think he could do that really well. But his horror stuff, phenomenal. His creator-owned stuff is phenomenal. Cold Spots, I couldn't even believe the ending to Cold Spots that they went there. But to have him have a shared, to me, I'm picturing Black Hammer, except horror done by Colin Bunn.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, sign me up for that.
The first time I was like, oh, apparently I like Colin Bunn because I'm reading all this Colin Bunn stuff, was the second half of the Agent Venom run.
Yeah.
And like I was so sad they decided to end it because, you know, he wrote a letter at the end of it and he had so much shit planned for like the symbiotes and Flash Thompson and everything like that. He was talking about like a symbiote war and all this stuff. And he wrote them like really, like he gave Eddie Brock the toxin symbiote, which, you know, but it was great. And I mean, you know, you could see the horror elements in his Venom run as well. Like it was just really well done.
Oh, fantastic.
Hopefully that tweet was just maybe stress of running your own thing and he just got a little down. Hopefully he's not giving up on it.
I don't think he is. I think you have a thing with artists in general. They're very hard on themselves, whether they're writers or sketch artists or whatever.
Right.
The artist mindset makes you kind of hard on yourself.
Yeah, for sure.
True.
And he's probably looking back at where he's at and looking at the year, and I don't know his finances. It may have been a struggle financial. He didn't say that. I don't know. But, you know, sometimes it's just your life changes and you look back and you reflect at the end of the year. People tend to reflect, and he maybe looked back and thought, man, that was a harder year than I intended it to be.
Yeah. Well, listen to his podcast he does with Dennis Hopeless, and he's like hinted that there were some issues with editorial going on,
which is probably another reason why he left the big two.
Is it the one that he does on YouTube?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So moving on to some films. Let's talk about what we're hyped about seeing in 2019. Craig, you want to start us off on this one, brother?
I have three, and probably one of them I think we're all going to be hyped about. Avengers.
Oh yeah,
I mean that's probably on all of our lists.
I didn't put it on my list because I figured somebody.
I'm not gonna lie, I just looked up releases of 2019 and wrote them all down. I'm gonna check them off as y'all say them, or as I go. So yeah, I definitely had that on my list as well.
Avengers, the Star Wars trilogy wraps up next year.
Oh
yeah,
and It Part 2. Those are the three that I'm super excited about.
I'll keep going.
For me, fucking Spider-Man Homecoming was one of my favorite movies of last year.
Oh, yeah.
Spider-Man Far From Home, definitely high up there on my list. Second, runner-up, I really, 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 really have high hopes for Hellboy. And I really want to see what they end up doing with it.
I want it to be good, too.
Yeah.
I mean, I want it to be good.
I understand some people's trepidation based on that trailer.
I think it was just a trailer.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I'm hoping so.
Mine is actually not a comic book movie. The movie I'm most excited about last year is the new Jordan Peele horror film called Us.
That does look good.
I think Get Out was one of my favorite horror films of all time.
So good.
It was both important to the genre of horror, but also to culture in general. And it made a huge splash. And I can't wait to see what he does next.
Absolutely.
So definitely Us is mine.
He is definitely on a roll, since Key and Peele ended,
and went in so totally of a different direction from what I expected him to go.
Oh,
And after watching what was the silly movie that Keanu doing Keanu,
It was funny, though.
it was
like
great.
Keanu.
It was great,
It was funny.
but
no, yeah. And it kind of just emphasizes the more point you'll get into some, especially stand-up comedians. They say, where do you get your comedy from? The pain.
Dark places.
Dark place. And it really shows that a good, and I mean, even with the late, great, Robin Williams, when he turned to horror acting for a few movies, he was amazing in it. So,
Jim Carrey.
Absolutely.
All right, buddy.
All right. Well, y'all didn't kill them all off, so I'm going to go really quick. For me, and probably only me, New Mutants. I forgot that's next. I know, but I'm a fanboy, so I'm excited for it. Yeah. Captain Marvel. And not to be confused, Shazam.
Right.
After that, Godzilla, King of Monsters. Yes. Looking forward to that.
I am looking forward to that one.
Glass. I can't wait for that.
Why did I put Glass on my list?
Because I'm here for you.
Yeah, right.
John Wick 3 comes out next year.
Oh, I forgot they were still doing that. Yeah.
This 2 was amazing.
Yeah.
And finally, Joker. I'm really interested in this.
I almost put that on my list.
It's not necessarily I can't necessarily say hyped, but morbid curiosity of where they're going with this.
Yeah. I have to say this: the couple of things I've seen that they've shown, it has me intrigued.
Exactly, that's a better word than morbid curiosity. Intrigued, because
now that you have Plex, go and watch. Was it We Were Never There? I think that was the last movie that Joaquin did. It's on the very end of the list.
I'm just trying to remember if I'd seen it or not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Good stuff.
After watching the movie last night, there was a trailer for the How to Train Your Dragons 3 movie that looks phenomenal.
Yeah. And I think this one's going to wrap up the series, right?
It is. Yep. It's ending the franchise.
I have to say, I watched that trailer and it looked great.
Yeah,
and I haven't watched
awesome.
the other two, and I was like, I need to watch this movie.
Can't remember if I've seen part 2 or not. I definitely seen first one. I really like it.
Punches you all up in the feels.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so since we're on movies and whatnot, what actors or actresses are you hoping to see more of in 2019? For me, I'll kick us off. I want to see more Tessa Thompson. I loved her character in Thor Ragnarok. I think she's great as Valkyrie. I also think she's just phenomenal in everything. She's great in Creed 2.
She reminds me of a young Michelle Rodriguez.
A little bit, yeah. She's a really interesting figure. I think she's underrated as an actress. I think she really does these really, really great portrayals, and I want to see her grow. So I'm curious to see more of her films.
Going off of my Spider-Man Far From Home high, Jake Gyllenhaal. Where has he been? He's going to be Mysterio in that movie. I'm trying
to think of the last movie he was in.
I think it was Nightcrawler, wasn't it?
I was going to say, I think Nightcrawler the last time I remember him at least getting any attention. I'm sure he's working.
Yeah.
Was that
the paparazzi guy?
Yeah. So
last I heard, he was lonely on a mountain somewhere.
But no, he's an awesome actor. I don't know why he stepped away or if he's just been doing things that are a little more low key. But I'd like to see him in more stuff.
I had a couple. Michael B. Jordan. I want his star to keep on flying. Mm-hmm. Just from I've heard about Creed 2 and Creed 1. I haven't seen either. And just coming off as Killmonger, he's just a phenomenal actor who broke away from Fantastic Four beautifully. And I want to see him keep rising. Also is Anya Taylor-Joy. She's going to be Magic in New Mutants, and she was the lead in Witch. And she's just she hasn't done. I haven't seen her in much else. I haven't looked up her IMDb page, but phenomenal actress. So I want to also see continue to do great things.
I picked Gal Gadot and Chris Hemsworth because they're both beautiful, and I want to see them more.
I agree.
Wholeheartedly. You're not wrong.
Another person that I had thought of was I think it's Letitia Wright.
Yes.
That played Shuri. The first thing I saw her in was actually the Black Mirror episode. I think it was Black Museum. And then like her as Shuri, I feel like I would probably go see anything that she's in. Like honestly,
I would too.
She was pretty great in Black Museum.
Oh
yeah,
in what?
Black Museum.
I thought you were going to say Black Mirror.
The episode of Black Mirror.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say Black Panther, so I agreed with you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I love that.
But it's still an agreeable point, regardless.
Yeah. So my runner-up was Anson Mount. He played in Hell on Wheels. He also played Black Bolt in the much disliked Inhuman series that was ABC, which I actually kind of I watched it. It wasn't great, but it was watchable. I want to see more of him.
He's actually in Star Trek right now.
Oh, really? Okay.
The online series or whatever.
Nice.
Yeah, I remember seeing a trailer of it before we saw Aquaman. I was like, is that Anson Mount? It was like,
I think you have to have the CBS app to watch that. Don't you?
It's crazy.
I'm not buying any more apps.
Yeah.
Not happening. I'm protesting. This one's mostly for Jerry and Sean, but Craig, if we have one, if you want to throw it in there, we absolutely can. What are some manga and anime that you want to read or watch and talk about next year for Manga Ramen? We'll go with Jerry first.
I mean, Manga Ramen for me, for as far as manga goes, since I have the app now, I'm open for any like new number ones or new series that they put in. I will say Chainsaw Man has kind of hit a lull for me. I don't know. There's just some things that I'm just not super crazy about. It's like 5 issues in. But I'm trying to read all the number ones and everything that they put out in it. As far as anime series, Mob Psycho was one of my favorite anime like 3 or 4 years ago, and it's starting up again, I think this winter. In fact,
I think it's spring release, actually.
No, it's winter.
Is it? Okay,
I'm pretty sure.
cool.
Well, because this next weekend.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
This next weekend.
I'm thinking of the one I want to talk about.
This next weekend, they're actually in a limited release in theaters. They're releasing the premiere of it, and they're showing it at the Rave, and I'm like, going to watch it.
Nice.
I'm gonna be so stoked. I'll probably be the only one in the theater, but I don't give a shit. 'Cause I love that series, and it's fantastic.
I need to watch it.
Yeah, so good. But those are pretty much my anticipations.
What you got, Sean?
A manga adaptation that's getting an anime adaptation is the one I was remembering for spring is Dr. Stone.
Right.
I'm really hoping the anime will do the manga justice, the beautiful artwork, and the good pacing. I'm excited for that. I know we've talked about My Hero Academia, but I kind of feel like we might occasionally do a seasonal wrap up on Manga Ramen, but season 3 starts up next year. Promised Neverland is getting an anime adaptation. It's been a really big hit in Japan and the manga front, and now that the app has opened up all chapters, that's one I'm going to look into. Yeah. It's also getting an anime adaptation. And the one I have a question mark to, because I don't think it's been officially announced, but I know me and Jared are going to talk about it. I don't remember if we talked about the first season. Is it wrong to pick up girls in a dungeon?
Yes.
Season 2 is rumored to be coming out next year.
Oh my god! Finally.
Yeah. So hoping to talk about it, meaning it actually came out.
Nice, Craig.
For me, it's always One Piece. I feel like Professor Snape always. It's One Piece.
Open your books to One Piece.
But I am going to pick up the Crunchyroll app. I mean, not the Crunchyroll, Shonen Jump app after the first of the year. And once I get caught up on the holidays have been a nightmare for me to try to get caught up on my reading. Mm-hmm. I applaud Caleb for getting all of those trades read. He's been reading.
I've just traded sleep.
It's been a nightmare for the past 2 weeks, so I was really glad we had a light week last week. But once I get caught up on my comics, I'm going to start reading, probably like Jerry said, start reading number 1. So if you two come across any new ones, let me know that are hot.
I would like to point out, I was checking out at the comic book store and they're like, oh man, you had a higher ticket than Craig this week. Isn't that awesome? Because I bought
that never happens.
Yeah, no, I bought the Before
that
the
one
Watchmen.
Book was more than my entire week this week.
I bought the Before the Watchmen omnibus.
That thing is huge.
It's fucking incredible.
All right, so I actually have one for this. My buddy Vince Bonaviglia from the 11 O'Clock Comics podcast turned me on to a manga artist that he turned me on to his Instagram page, and I really, really love what I've seen. His name is Shintaro Kago. He's an incredible horror artist. He works a lot with color, actually, which is kind of surprising. But he did a book last year called Dementia 21 that I really want to check out. There's another one that he did the year before that called Harem's End that I got both of those on my like Amazon like dream list or whatever you want to call it. Really, very much body horror. I love his style. I think he's really, really great. So I want to read that one next year. And hopefully if I get a copy of it, I can let you guys borrow it. Maybe I can actually jump in on one of the Manga Ramen segments.
Hell yeah.
And
you could have your own Manga Ramen segment.
I could. I don't want to. I'm not as good as that as you guys are. All right. So we run a podcast. Occasionally we get to talk to some really cool people. We get to go to cons and stuff and meet all kinds of creators and everything. And it's a lot of fun. So what 3 creators are you hoping to get to speak to in 2019? We'll go with Craig on this one to kick off.
Donnie Cates, Jeff Lemire, Rick Remender. Hey, Jerry, what are your 3?
If you could see the look on Craig's face
right before I was like,
amazing.
I was like, I'll mark out the one that Craig's not going to talk about. And I'll put Rick Remender. So fuck you, Colin Bunn. There.
I mean, Jerry and I
said, and
Jerry and I pretty much are in love with the same 3 or 4 creators as far as. Now, having said that, I've never been disappointed other than once meeting a creator and talking to them in fuck you, Neil Adams.
I knew it.
Shots fired.
I knew it was Neil Adams.
I didn't even meet that guy.
I knew it was Neil Adams.
But I mean, honestly, I've never really been disappointed. I mean, I've met Bernie Wrightson and
Several
Eric
others.
Larson and James O'Barr and some really bigger names in comics over the years. Justin Jordan. None of them have ever disappointed me.
Yeah, you just have to realize that they're just people, and that's the fun thing.
And so I'm always excited when I get to meet any of them. The one that I kind of look back on and wish, and I'm sure I'll get to see him again, is Joe Staten. That guy has been involved in creating so many characters that you don't even realize. So I would like really to sit down and have a conversation with him about some of his creations.
You want to talk about somebody who does not look like what you would think that they would look like is Joe Staten. When I read Joe Staten stuff, I don't think about I think of kind of like this larger, intimidating figure. He looks like the guy from Up. Like he is this tiny little bitty man that is just the most unassuming.
Well, I guess we're not going to talk to Joe Staten on the podcast.
Oh no, he's wonderful. He's wonderful. Like I don't think he'd be insulted by that at all. He is. He's a small frame guy, just a little old guy with glasses. He's really cool.
I actually have a couple pieces from him. So
awesome. Yeah. Sean, what you got, buddy?
I just want to sit down and ask Tom King how he writes words so gooder. Yeah, Tom King. I would love to have an interview with him. I think that's universal.
If we get Tom King on the show, we're doing some good stuff.
We're all just sitting here just doe-eyed, listening to every word he does. Met the man, didn't really get to talk much because he had quite a big line, was Eric Larson. I'd actually really like to talk to him about his career and Savage Dragon and all that good stuff, though. Met him at Comic-Con, my first Comic-Con, and he liked my beat art piece of Savage Dragon I made. He signed it for me.
That's badass.
And I would love to sit down and talk to Stan Sakai.
Oh, yeah.
Talk that man's career and just everything he has to do with Usagi Yojimbo and his other works as well. So
Nice. All right, my 3. Colin Bunn. I know Jerry said him a while ago, but I've met him several times. Really, really cool guy. Actually got to talk to him last year at Chicago for a minute. That was fun. Ran into him at a restaurant. It was neat. Kelly Thompson is doing some really great work on the X-Men right now. She just finished up Mr. and Mrs. X, which if you haven't read that, I ignored it at first. I didn't think it was going to be a good series. Ended up being phenomenal. Like I got told to, hey, go back and read this, and I did, and it was well worth the read. And she's doing just a lot of other cool stuff. She seems
I just read a book with her this week, and I was like, I had to look up what else she was on.
Yeah, she's
so good.
Kind of like she's really firing on all cylinders right now. And my last one is Kyle Starks. He did, again, I met him last year, but I really hope to actually get to sit down and talk to him this year. He did Rock Candy Mountain, which was amazing. He's also the writer of Mars Attacks right now. And he's also doing, I think, some Rick and Morty stuff. So for you guys who like the Ricks and the Mortys and all that goodness, really interesting guy. Has a great beard. And then you said Justin Jordan a while ago, so I had to improvise. But yeah, I love Justin. That dude's amazing.
I just said his name that I'd met him in the past.
Yeah. Were you able to recover, or are you still sticking with your what?
Antonio Fabella and Riley Rossmo.
Okay, so
nice.
You're going.
Nice.
All right.
I knew that you and I were going to have some major overlap on the ones we wanted to meet.
I figured this. That's why I kind of went outside the. I knew Cullen Bum was going to get stolen, but Stan Sakai's a good one. I want to hear you talk to Stan Sakai.
Oh, I would love to.
All right, so our last one on this thing. Our New Year's resolutions for 2019. I figured it'd be cool if we did like a real world resolution and then a show resolution. Sean, why don't you start us off on this one? What's your real world and what's your...
The real world one is one I'm starting early, but I want to keep it through the year, is saving money to take my wife to Japan.
Nice. Little honeymoon action?
Yeah, late honeymoon. That'll be because we're aiming for 2020. So,
hey,
but she's
good time to go.
Like, she probably could have gone when me and Jerry went, but she wasn't really there with her job for her taking leave or finances. So but she's been really getting excited about going now. She's watching videos, taking notes where she wants to do. So
nice.
I want to go back, and this time I can take my wife, hopefully.
Okay, what's your show resolution?
My show resolution is not directly on the show, but I have slacked off on making movie reviews for the YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. And while they may not all be movie reviews, I want to do at least 3 videos a week.
Cool. That's daunting.
For our channel. But at least minimum of 3 videos put out, whether the reviews of movies, comics, toys, room tours, asking Jerry what coffee he likes. I don't care. More content for the YouTube channel.
What you got, Craig?
Yeah, for my personal thing is it's kind of almost a personal, like interpersonal one, but I feel like you guys have known my struggle with like the landscapers and stuff like that.
Yeah. Right.
Throughout the year, both personally, professionally, I felt just like I've let people walk over me, and I'm going to try to have a bigger voice to stand up to that sort of thing.
Okay.
Next week we come in. Fuck you. Get your own breakfast.
Dude, no. Not
it's an all new Craig.
Sure. It's just like with the landscape people.
Yeah,
right. You know, it's just been a struggle with some certain things this year, and
I got you. That's a good thing, though. Yeah.
Be more assertive.
Yeah. For the show, I'm going to try and revamp my reviews a little bit. I'm going to try and be more of a critical reviewer as opposed to, hey, this is what happened in the book, like a fanboy reviewer, right. If that makes sense. So I'm going to try and be more of a professional review without giving away the whole book type thing.
Huh, right on.
So that's where I'm going with mine.
It's a good one. Can I just have that one?
If you want it, for sure.
What you got, Jerry?
Mine, actually, I kind of want to just visit Stephanie in Seattle as opposed to her coming here.
That'd be badass.
Something that I want to do. And I mean, plus with like the looming like thing of her potentially getting a job there, I would probably be required if I ever plan on moving there. So, and not to mention, I would also have to figure out how I'm going to, like, what I'm going to do if I even go up there to Seattle. So,
for sure.
I don't know. It's really up in the air. So hopefully I get all that figured out next year. And then, for the comic for our podcast and everything. Yeah, I mean, I really like Craig's probably reading and probably just doing more research, doing more work at writing everything down and not waiting until the day before. I mean, I had that issue whenever I was in school, and I was doing a pretty good job of it for a little while there, but it just seems like, so often either things get in the way of it or I just get unmotivated sometimes and just need to make more time for it.
Well, a little behind the scenes stuff that put that out there. New books come out Wednesday. We record on Sunday.
Yeah.
It's sometimes hard to get your stack read between Wednesday and Sunday to be able to really prepare before Sunday morning. A lot of times I'm preparing Sunday morning as well. It's just...
Well, and it's not like I don't ask a lot of you guys. Like I put out I'm pretty damn demanding with, when I put out the things and like, hey, here's what we're going to do. And I can be...
I don't think you're overly demanding.
I try not to be, but I can see me being...
I consider you the director of the show and you've got a plan and a vision for what you want the show to be, and until I disagree with it, we'll allow it.
No, I mean, it's no pressure. Because like I said, you definitely give us a structure, and so we know what our goals that we want to achieve. The rest, but you're not too overly critical, like how we review, how we cover our stuff. Time frame is really all. I guess if I'm going to do an in-show one, like I said, it's tightening up.
Yeah,
I think that's something I think we all universally agree upon. But yeah, no, but you're not Hitler yet.
Well, and I hope I never am. And to be fair, like it is patting ourselves on the back, but very few people do a weekly podcast, and very few people do a weekly podcast for a year that does specials, and they stick to their schedule. Right. Very, very few podcasters do that. And I realize it's me bragging on myself, but I'm also bragging on you guys because it is a very demand, like every fucking Sunday we're in the same place. Like that's not an easy task for a hobby. You know what I mean? So good. Congratulations to all of us. And especially, like you said, Jerry, like it's great that you want to improve on that, but I still think we get to pat ourselves on the back for that. And now they're tired of listening to us. I don't have one. I'm perfect.
Drink more during the show. That's personal and for the show.
Yeah. If we could do this at night.
More night episodes.
Imbibe. No, so my real world one, I want to take my husband to at least 2 new cities that he's never been to.
And you're going to start by going to one you've already been to.
Exactly. Yeah. And then I'm going to leave him the next week to go somewhere he hasn't gone. No, so Roger is not a collector of things. He does not ask very much of me. He's helping me get through college right now. He's floating the bills. He does not demand much. I would love to be able to. The only thing he really likes to do is travel. I would love to be able to travel more with him because he puts up with a lot of shit from me, just being me, and being in school and everything else. And he supports me, and I want to be able to do something nice for him. And he doesn't ask me to. It's just something I want to do. He loves to travel. I want to take him to new places. I can show you the world or something like that. For the show, I finally want to figure out fucking Skype recording.
Yeah.
So that we can have our creators, if they want to talk to us, come on and do the show with us.
Yeah.
We've tried it with Wendy and we got halfway there. And I haven't had the time and it's completely my fault, but I will get it figured out.
We absolutely have commitments from people that would do it if we could get them on the show.
Yeah. The hard thing is like, again, behind the scenes, this is how the sausage is made kind of thing. We record at a table together in a studio setting. Most people who do podcasts, when they do it with other people, they just completely record on Skype. Everything I can find on YouTube or anything else that helps me do this says, hey, if you're going to record, you can record at a table like this, and this is how you do it, like we do. Or here's how you do it on Skype. I can't find anything that really, really, really teaches me how to do both to where we can all sit around the table and hear who we're talking to.
We have a pretty badass equalizer board. There's got to be a way.
There is. I just have to find the mechanics of it. So if you know, call me. Holla at your boy. We'll figure this out together.
And my other resolution is to figure out how to fly my drone that Tony got me.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Forgot about that.
He told me about that.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, do you think Craig has one of these? And I'm like, no, for a fact, Craig probably doesn't have one of those.
Yeah.
What kind of drone is it?
It's a X-Wing. It's
nice.
a collector's edition X-Wing, and all I can do right now is flip it over on its top.
That's not how you fly it.
No, it is not.
It's a 180.
Yes.
It's a great trick.
It goes. Whoop. That's all I do with it.
All right, so a little coming up, homework. Golden Geekery Awards are not next week, but they're the week after next. So we're looking at, I think, the 13th of January. Doing our Golden Geekery Best of 2018 episodes. That gives us 2 weeks. You still have time to go out and fill out your form. It's easy to find. It's on all of our social media pages. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to put in your email address. You just click the link. It takes you to a Google link, and you just type in your answers. If you
it's
want
also a Kapow's
website. Yeah, we're teaming up with our local comic shop to do it. If you want to be a bad person, you can fill out more than one because there's no way for me to track that. But don't do that. But you can fill out your form. Let us know what you loved last week or last year, and we're going to let you know what we loved, and we're going to kind of do this thing together. I was again going to read off the list, but we don't have time. So, but it's your standard questions like who is your favorite writer, who is your favorite artist.
Right.
We get out of comics. What was your favorite movie? Who is your favorite actor? Who is your favorite wrestler? Just all kinds of stuff because we want to talk about those things and really encompass the whole lot of it. So go check that out, man. We really want to know what you guys think. It really helps us. If you guys are super digging something that we haven't talked about on the show, then apparently we need to be reading it and talking about it. So let us know what you like. All right, so moving on to some comics. Y'all ready for this?
Yeah.
All right. It was a light week in comic world. And nothing came out this week that we all just really, really, really wanted to read together. And so we decided to kind of go back a week. And for our round table, we all gather around the table and we tell you what we liked about the same book before we talk about our own books. So this week, like I said, we went back a week. And we want to talk about Middlewest #2 by Skottie Young and Jorge Carona. Colors by John Francis Beaulieu, and letters by Nate Picos. This is an Image book. It is absolutely phenomenal. So I guess we'll go around the table. What did you guys think, starting with Craig?
This book, as you just get more immersed in this world, it just really is amazing. I read it last night, and I just find myself wanting to know more about this overall world. You've got this kind of wizard dude that was introduced in the last one. You've got that like bone sparrow or whatever thing that showed up and was taunting him. There's so many neat elements to this. I don't know if it's supposed to be Wonderland, but it sure feels like Wonderland. I can't wait to see this entire world laid out before us. That's where I'm at.
For me, it feels more like Oz, like the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
And the designs are amazing.
Yeah.
I think his name was Caw, right?
Caw, yeah.
The Raven. Yeah.
It's like what I said after your review of the first book. Got me interested. I went and bought it, or you lent it to me, and I read it myself, and I'm like, this feels like it's going to be a fucked up Wizard of Oz. Yeah. And I think that's exactly what it's delivering. From, like I said, Caw, and I forget his partner's name, and I got the book right in front of me. I thought the Caw, right?
Caw's partner, yeah.
On the train, eating motherfuckers. On a train to, like I said, the wizard, who's just like, while it's fantasy, it's almost still like we haven't seen we've seen obviously supernatural elements and stuff like that going on.
Yeah, it's like a weird supernatural post-apocalyptic steampunk.
Yeah, exactly. It's not super fantasy because it could still some of it, other than like his dad turned into a tornado and that scar on his chest, obviously. But like the wizard's doing some stuff, but like it's almost like you said, a steampunk wizard.
Yeah.
And then like I said, I still question if that fox is even there. That's my own personal fan theory, and if because that fox has been following, I can't think of the fox name if he even has one.
He doesn't have a name.
That's right, because he said he doesn't believe in giving names, silly names. But so yeah, there's a lot going on, and of course the subtext, which is not even that subtle in the first one, is obviously running away from an abusive parent.
Yeah, and
which like so you could read into that with Alice in Wonderland and Wizard of Oz, the escapism from some traumatic experience, possibly. So I think most people agree that Alice in Wonderland is more about drugs than anything else. But it's delivering on what I've been wanting. I'm more familiar with Skottie Young's art than his writing, and his writing though is just as good as his art. I love his art. And what's the artist's name again?
It's George Carona.
Jorge Carona.
Jorge Carona.
At least you're not half Spanish getting it wrong like I did. Frankie de Jesus. The art is it's obviously different from Skottie Young. He has his own style, but I feel like just because I associate Skottie Young's name with his art, even though he's only writing it, it fits.
Yeah, it does. It's really close.
The art complements what I picture Skottie Young writing based on his drawings. If that makes any sense. Like I said, this is the first. I know he's written other stuff. This is the first writing I've read, though.
It's very much like he picked an artist specifically because their art kind of matched up with
similar
his
style.
Sort of.
Because like this wholly convinced me that Skottie Young could be a manga artist, because most of them write and draw at the same time. He could be producing his own books.
Oh, for sure,
100% by himself.
He did.
Yeah,
has he?
Oh yeah.
Fairyland. I hate Fairyland.
I never read it. I didn't realize that was all him.
He also did Rocket, right?
And Oz.
He has done a lot of his own writing and drawing duties.
Yes.
Okay, I didn't realize he was
similar
doing both
to Jeff
on those.
Lemire, where he does.
So
both,
I mean, I'm super impressed. Like I said, the story is great. The art's fantastic, and it's just like you said. Every time there's something new for the main character, we have more questions just like he does, and that's great writing.
Yeah, I think this is his next I Hate Fairyland. I Hate Fairyland
it's
wrapped
better
up.
than I Hate Fairyland.
I agree.
I love I Hate Fairyland.
I agree. I do. I think that's what like that ended though. I think this is his next big project.
Yeah.
Because he always does 2 or 3 little small side projects while he's doing his major one. I think this is his next major. I think this is Skottie Young writing his version of the Great American Novel.
Yeah.
It does remind me of Oz, but it also reminds me of weird books like On the Road, other books that you see the short stories of really rural areas, which is what, when I think of an American novel, like the Great American Novel, I think of books like that really do. They're a traveling book. They take place in a lot of rural America. Grapes of Wrath
Right.
That kind of thing. And I think that's what he's writing here. I think this is his version of that.
Oh, absolutely. With, like I said, that steampunk fantasy twist. Absolutely.
It has got to be a daunting task to draw for somebody like Skottie Young, who is such an iconic at this point. And I think you can call him iconic. I think he's developed a style that is now widely regarded as its own genre of art, or its own category of art. And I think he did a lot to develop that himself. Like, I think of Skottie Youngism when I think of his art, and I see people who follow in that vein. So it's no small task to draw for that. And he just nails it. Jorge Carona is so almost perfect with his brushstrokes.
Yeah.
It is loose. It's not internal. It's not like rigidly structured, but everything is purposeful. Every little arc, every admonishment, every over embellishment is done with really, really well regulated style, but it still feels loose. Like if I shook this book, I expect it to rattle, but to make beautiful music.
Like I've tried to categorize this style before, and I think, like I said, some early like Skottie Young work and some other artists whose names right now I'm just escaping me at the moment. It's that sketchy by design,
yes, kind
of style to it. Almost like you could almost go like old Disney, where you can still kind of see the line work in the animated movies and stuff. It's a kind of a throwback to that style where it's intentional, but it looks like it's just quick sketching.
Yeah.
And it's very cool when done right.
Absolutely. And it works so well because I don't know about you guys, but at least for me, when I read a story by Skottie Young and the art doesn't match up with what I think of as Skottie Young, it throws me off. That's my current problem with this new Deadpool line that he's writing. And I'm not even saying it's bad. I'm saying that when I try to, I read it and I can tell it's Skottie Young, but there's a disconnect in my brain. Right. And the imagery does not match up with what I think Skottie Young's writing should do. And that's weird. Like, that's a me thing, not really a critique of the book. It's just personally, it's an odd disconnect.
Well, yeah, no, there's it was one of my issues I had with Shuri #1. If you remember our discussion about that was I didn't feel like the art style matched the tone of the book.
Yeah.
And that also goes along with writing style and just the way the art has to gel. And sometimes not every artist needs to work with every writer.
No, for sure.
But like I said, Skottie Young knows exactly what the fuck he's doing because they're gelling very well.
Absolutely. And I think part of that is because of the colorist, Jean-Francois Bellou, is how I think you say his name. I'm not real sure. Do it.
If you don't like the way we just pronounce your name, feel free to comment on this podcast and fight us about it.
We haven't gotten one of those in the last few podcasts.
We have not.
But no, so this is the same.
Surprisingly literate.
Yeah, off brand for us, really.
This is the same colorist that did all of the coloring on I Hate Fairyland. And I think for me that helps really tie it in because I think that this is, I guess he's Skottie Young's personal colorist. He's just going to travel with Skottie wherever Skottie goes, and it works because his colors are dynamic. They're beautiful. He has an amazing palette. You get this really, they're bright, they're vibrant when they need to be. There are dark scenes in this book, but they're not so dark that it gets muddled. Yeah. Like everything is it's still dark. The tone is still there, but it's just gorgeous. It's just really vibrant darkness, which is an odd combination of things.
That splash page where you see the wizard, I think his name is Jeb.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You see his
clubhouse.
His clubhouse or whatever you want to call it. I mean, it's just a beautiful piece of art. And like Sean was saying, it is very reminiscent of Skottie Young's art that he does for himself. So to have somebody that can come in and kind of be a Skottie Young type artist, and the colors, as you said, are just beautiful. And there's so much going on that page that it's just, you kind of get lost in it for a minute. But
yeah.
It's a beautiful book. The story is amazing.
I love the train ride.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we've spoken more about the art and imagery than we have the story on this. But as Sean said earlier, he is running away from his father. He's going on this adventure. He's searching for something inside. And I think you're right when you bring up Oz, because we saw the tornado at first, and I think that there's something going on. Like, I think he's inside his head on some level, but you don't know that for sure. And I'm definitely along for the ride.
Just a little side note, back to the art. Mike Huddleston did the cover, and I'm not sure if it was Jean-Francois Bellou who did the colors for it too, but the cover of issue 2, I want a print of this.
Yes,
it's a gorgeous cover. I want to get it. But yes, as far as the story, I think it is. It's definitely. It feels like obviously it's an escape tale because like he's running away from his abusive dad, like I said, whether it's all just psychological or just really, or if it's all really happening, we'll see. And I'm definitely down to find out. I'm on this book. As I stated with New Year's resolution of having to save some money, I had to cut a lot of books. I kept this one.
Yeah.
I'm in on this one.
So
It's worth keeping.
One cool thing this book does is at the end of every story, or at least after the first 2 issues, it gives you some sketches and some design information from the book on the new characters you get to meet, which I always think is kind of cool in a comic.
Yeah,
book.
process shots are awesome.
Yeah, just to kind of get to see their thought process and how this all came together. It's really kind of cool. And again, the story, he's on a train running from his father. He's got his fox friend with him. Cause they're trying to eat him.
Mm-hmm.
The wizard shows up and rescues him, and then things happen after that, and more setting up the next book. But I love when a book can set up the next book without feeling like it's a setup book itself.
Right.
It tells a story or a portion of the story without setting up, without the feel of a
It
setup
doesn't feel
book.
like you're being drug along.
It's
leading
you're
you,
along
but-
for the ride.
Yeah, it's leading you, but it doesn't feel like it's forcing you to the next page.
And the design on Ka was amazing.
Very
Yeah.
It was really great.
All the little details and all the trinkets and stuff that the characters are carrying
Yeah.
around with them and everything, and like you can see the multiple layers of clothing and stuff that they're wearing. It's just really, really great character designs.
And the fox makes a comment about, well, maybe next time you can get yourself a cricket.
Yeah,
right.
There's it's some really, because one thing Skottie Young's really good with it, he's very witty.
Yeah.
Subtle references.
Yeah, well, subtle references, and just he brings, even in an intense book, he brings some wit into it and some lightheartedness that will make you laugh, and you're along on this ride where it's this is a dark book. It's intended to be a dark book. As Sean said, he's running from his abusive father.
Mm-hmm.
That's the premise of this book. So it's a dark story, but then to have this little light humor sprinkled throughout it kind of helps lighten it up.
It's
a bit
still
more.
whimsical.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm all in for this book. I'm not going to say it's the next saga, but it certainly feels like the next saga.
I'm wondering how many more books of this genre we're kind of going to get, because we've already got, including this one, like 4, right? So we've got Die with them traveling into another world from the real world. We've got Sparrowhawk, which you've heard me talk about enough. And then Lollipop Kids is kind of in that same
I think the
vein.
difference with this book is this is his world.
Yeah. Yeah. So
he's just leaving his own little community.
And it was actually a really good transition too, because it's not like, he went through a portal or it got transported or went through a mirror or whatever.
I think it's his
like,
world.
yeah,
I think it's the world he lives in.
Yeah.
He's always said like he never really gone outside of the farm community,
the borders.
Yeah,
So.
and it's kind of like with Lollipop Kids, like you mentioned. Though it's all, I feel like it's still happening in the same world. They're just a side of it you don't know about until you're in it.
Right.
So yeah, I don't think we've quite hit the isekai
Yeah.
in Japan, going to another world yet. But yeah, I mean, if this does well and more people come get, you can definitely see an influx of the
So
stuff.
it is a different world in that he only knew this portion that he was in.
Like his world was small.
It was a little farming community.
he's a
He
little
didn't
fish in a
realize
big
there
pond.
was all of this fantasy out there. As soon as he gets outside the border, I think he said he was from Farmington.
Yeah.
Once he gets outside the borders of Farmington, this world opens
there's
up.
less farms.
Exactly. So, just again, dark, witty.
It's a Tom
whimsical,
Sawyer story.
yeah.
That's
And again,
Without
you don't want to
the-
put too much
without
pressure on it.
racism.
without all the racism.
right.
You don't want to put too much pressure on a book, but 2 issues in, if you aren't collecting this, you should be. If you're reading comics
absolutely.
and if you're a fan of Saga or any of these big, expansive universe type stories, this is a book for you.
Okay, so that's really, we're going to deep dive in on this episode because of time. We spent a lot of time talking about our resolutions.
Absolutely.
And that's what our episode needed to be about. But as always, when we talk, after we talk about our books, we like to do kind of a runners up thing, or, what else did we read? What are our sides for our main dish on the Southern Fried Geekery podcast? So this week, what was yours? What did you guys read this week that you felt like really earned a spot on the show?
I read X-Force, which is a start of the franchise again. Got into it. Decent start, horrible artwork though, I have to say. So that's the one I was going to talk about, but hit or miss for me, honestly. About 50-50. Good start of a book, but I don't like the art.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. Average story, but inconsistent art.
Yeah.
Like there were some pages I really liked, some pages I thought were bad. Not
Two left
to
feet.
hate on it. So yeah, two left feet.
Two left feet.
Two left feet. Dang. For me, I was going to talk about Hardcore #1, which is a relaunch of the Kirkman Silvestri book from 2004, I believe, somewhere.
I think so. Yeah.
Anyways, it's I really liked it. The art was really good. The colors on it absolutely stunning. Story, it was a good setup book for an issue #1. I want to see where it's going. I will stay on it.
Nice.
Yeah.
For me, I actually picked a book from the previous week. It was the last issue of Spider-Ghedon. It was, the ending of the story arc that they did, and I thought it ended really well. They brought in a lot of different universe Spider-Man. Just, to summarize, they had a fucking Spider Cop, which if you played the video game,
Yeah.
you know that reference. They actually had one in the background that was a Stan Lee Spider-Man that I thought was pretty fitting. One of the badass scenes in it, Miles Morales gets the Enigma Force that I think it's like Captain Cosmic or Captain Universe has.
Yeah.
He picks up the sword from the giant robot and just fucking waylays the big bad guy with it. Fucking great shit.
Yeah.
The way that they dealt with the enemies at the end was fantastic.
Yep.
But yeah, definitely recommend picking this run up in trade paperback.
How many issues did you say was in that whole run?
I think it was 5 altogether, but with the side issues and everything, it ended up being like 11 issues.
They had a lot of
tie-ins.
With all the tie-ins. Yeah, it was.
But they weren't tie-ins into other books. They were just one-shots.
But for the main title, you say there was 5 or 6? Okay,
Yeah.
5.
Yeah.
All right, cool. And so I actually went back for the book I was going to talk about this week. I went back a little bit to a book that came out almost 2 months ago, just because I've been trying to catch up. And this one is it's a book called High Heaven. It is done by Tom Peyer, Greg Scott, Andy Troy, and Rob Steen. It's from Ahoy Comics, which is the same company that did the Captain Ginger book that I've been liking so much.
Right.
Really, really cool little concept. Like if we were going to talk about a publisher that I want to watch for 2019, I want to watch this publisher because I love what they're doing with like their anthology format. Each book has like one main story and like an essay and 2 or 3 little stories. It's really cool. The guy dies. It's about a guy who dies and he goes to heaven, but he's complaining a lot. And we all get a mansion in heaven, but the mansion's more like a shitty apartment in Queens. And that's kind of his thing. It's a fun little setup. I'm curious to see where it goes. I thought it was a little slow, a little wordy for my taste. But I'm curious to see what he does. It's Tom Peyer, so.
I always hate when I read and it's wordy.
I know that sounds
words
weird.
in
My books.
I know it sounds weird, but I really do hate overly wordy comic books.
Well, to me, that's indicative of the writer, unless you're going for a particular style, which is a thing, but it's indicative of the writer not trusting their artist to tell the story.
Right.
Or Chris Claremont.
Yeah. Or, well, I mean, but Claremont wrote in the 90s when they were more
everything
wordy.
was wordy.
Alan Moore and those guys, they were all wordy.
For sure.
Anyways.
Yeah, any runners up? To our runners up?
I like Defenders.
Yeah,
I thought it was a pretty good story. I loved when they merged the two together, when Silver Surfer and Namor merged together. That was kind of cool.
They actually ended what was the X-Men event? Extermination.
Yeah.
And they ended Infinity Wars too, which Infinity Wars wasn't a bad ending. I actually enjoyed it.
It was
great art and everything.
Yeah.
all the kids went home.
Mm-hmm.
Except for one.
Yeah, and they actually made a second universe for the warped characters.
Yeah.
So, like, there's a warped universe out there that they can use whenever they want now.
West Coast Avengers was super cool.
I dug it. Yeah.
I love that. This was my surprise hit.
Yeah.
Super, super fun.
That book's fun every week.
It really
every
is.
month. When it comes out, every issue's been fun. It deserves 3 or 4 stabs every issue.
All right, so next week, first new comic book day of 2019. Are you ready? I'm not ready for 2019. I'm ready for 2018 to be over, but I'm not ready for 2019. It's going to be too big of a
2018
year.
can suck it.
Oh, it needs to be dead, but 2019 is scary and big. I'm not ready for it.
I thought you liked things that were scary and big.
No, I'm not answering that.
Grounds he may incriminate himself.
Back up. But what are you guys looking forward to that's coming out next week? What are you wanting to pick up on Wednesday?
Man Without Fear #1 starts. Relaunch of Daredevil.
Is that the Zdarsky doing that one?
Yeah. We'll see where Chip Zdarsky goes with Daredevil.
Right.
I'm going to pick up Champions #1 by Jim Zub. It's kind of I'm still not sure why they're renumbering it. They went from Champions to Champions. It's one of it like a weird thing. The annual was really good this past week.
With the same creative team. It's kind of weird when they do that.
There's no change up, so I'm not sure why they're renumbering. But I love the series, love Jim Zub. So Champions #1, check it out. Sean, what you got, buddy?
I'm going to start my year off with Savage Dragon #241, where Eric Larson's pulling deep into the Golden Age pool with a character called Captain Tootsie.
It's just like episode #1.
I know, right? Relaunch, restart, it's all the same shit all over again. But yeah, Savage Dragon 241.
Nice. Started off with some manga. The second volume of the Gantz Omnibus comes out next week, and Vigilantes Volume 3 comes out next week.
Nice.
Yeah.
Conan the Barbarian also launches next week.
Yeah, I know. Why didn't Caleb talk about
Does
that?
it launch next week? I thought it launched the second week.
I was surprised you didn't.
Caleb doesn't care about Conan at all.
Oh, no, I mean, it's on my pull list.
Yeah,
I'm getting
Conan
it.
starts next week.
You ruined the surprise. I set it up to surprise myself. Dude, it was going to be like Christmas in
Next week,
January.
like-
Totally intentional, yeah, sure.
I always say Conan. Do you say Conan or Conan?
Say Conan.
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 And I think that's
Our
what
buddy
they-
Matt says Conan, not Matt Dykes. Good Matt.
Cool Matt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Says
Buff Matt.
Yeah. Says Conan.
We listen to him because he can break us all with his
Yes,
arms.
he can bench press all of us at the same time. Well, guys, do we have anything else we need to talk about this episode, or do we feeling good about it? We're ready to go into our New Year's feeling strong, feeling good about episode 53?
Join us next week for the rebirth.
The Rebirth, episode #1.
We're all new
Of
cast.
4,000
We're
relaunching.
relaunching.
This is no. We got to start season 2, episode 1.
Who's going to be responsible for making the dad joke?
Oh, me.
Oh, is it going to be
Fucking
Jay?
every.
Okay.
I will text every single one of you.
Good.
Well, I haven't seen you guys since last year.
No, yeah, he made the dad joke.
He made it.
Yeah.
See, so okay, well then we will see you guys next year. So before we get to next year, though, again, go check us out on Facebook. We've got our page set up. We're always posting news. We're talking about stuff that we find interesting in the pop culture world. We're posting pictures of what we're reading. We're posting pictures of drawings, doing all kinds of cool stuff on the Instagram page, chatting with folks up on Twitter, making connections, really building a community. If you want to do us a huge solid, if you want to make your New Year's resolution, to go leave us a rating and review on iTunes, especially
That's
if you're
an
going to leave us
easy resolution.
a good one. Yeah, you can do it on your phone.
Yeah.
We would really appreciate it. It helps boost us in their algorithms, which, algorithms are weird. But, tell your friends about us. If you're really liking the show and you want to share it, if you're interested in what we're saying, let your friends know, hey, there's something worth listening to and you should spend your time doing that.
Listen, and I found out that if you really like us as people, but you don't want to listen to like 2 hours of us talking, while you're sleeping, just plug your phone in, put our episodes on, and just let them all run through while you sleep. Get us more views.
Absorb us subconsciously.
Yeah, pretty much.
The only
change
problem
your
with is that if they don't listen to us, they didn't hear that.
Well, that's why this particular segment, Caleb is going to cut and put in an audio clip on Facebook that we're all going to share.
I'm really not. I'm really not going to do that. All right, guys. Well, if nothing further, thank you for spending the last 2 hours with us or so. We hope you have a great New Year's. Please be safe. Do not drink and drive. Get an Uber. Get a driver. Get sober. Do something. Don't start the New Year's off shittily. Stay for the credits and go forth and love some comics. Woo!